Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is the second video for course SMR3012. So it's SMR3013 research methods for chapter 2, quantitative and qualitative research. So the aim of this video is basically to share with you what is the difference between quantitative and qualitative research. Okay, this is the second video after the first video that I have shared, which is related to introduction to research. Okay, so the source of material used in this video basically from YouTube and also from the notes that I'll share with you in the My Guru platform. Alright, so let's go to the first slide. This is the slide or the notes that I use in class. So let me share with you. Okay, so let me explain briefly about this chapter, Introduction to Quantitative and Qualitative Research. Before I explain briefly about those two type of research, there are specific research that is known as we can divide into 4 types, which is pure or basic research, applied or field research, action research, and evaluation research. Okay, let me briefly explain each one of it before we go to the comparison between quantitative and qualitative research. Okay, so the first one is a basic research or pure research. In the pure or basic research, the main purpose is to discover important basic fact about the subject of interest. Okay, is to discover of important basic fact about the current knowledge. Okay, that's what we call is a basic research. Okay. So again, another info about basic research is does not head toward the immediate application of the research finding. They are not related to application. Okay, it's not application. Okay, application there will be the second one, which is the applied or field research. In applied research, the purpose is to test the theories and ideas in the real situation. Okay, this applied research it might be similar to action research, but this applied research is not that specific as action research. Okay, so applied research normally is relevant basically to solve a problem. Okay, in making decision. That's what applied research is related to your real life problem. Okay. And then action research. So this is the action research is related to specific applied research. Okay. So just now is applied research, but here action research is actually specific applied research. Okay. In action research, it's basically to solve a specific problem and to make a quick decision. That's why we call it as action research. And the last one, evaluation research. This one is it's a compressed systematic procedure, and it's basically related to research on effectiveness of a certain program. And when we say evaluation, it's related to the test or study on the effectiveness of a certain program that been held. Okay, so that's the 4 types of research. And then come to the traditional approaches in research, which are the quantitative and qualitative. So when you are doing the research, you may choose whether you want to do analysis in quantitative or you want to do analysis in qualitative. And sometimes you can use both quantitative and qualitative in your research. Okay, I just go through briefly what is quantitative research. It's basically the aim is to quantify all the information collected. Okay, so I will explain further and show you further the definition in the video. Okay, so here while QL, qualitative, is about collecting evidence. Here is some quantitative research characteristic. It involves validity, reliability, hypothesis. Okay, it involves statistical, it involves experimental. Okay, what else? In quantitative research, they basically testing theory, providing fact, show relationship between variables and many more. Okay, and then the data, obviously when it's quantitative research, the data must be quantitative. Okay, there's so many tests, statistics, and it normally involve questioning. And there are several types of methods of research. It can be experimental research, quasi-experimental, structural, observation, and all this method will be you will learn in the next topic, specifically just quantitative for quantitative research. How about qualitative research? Okay, in qualitative research, basically they're focusing on deep understanding on certain matter or certain subject. Deep understanding. They want to know the meaning of certain thing, a very in depth. So some related term they use as case study, ethnography, constructivist. Okay, so that's for qualitative. It is deep understanding. Okay. Normally in qualitative, it involves small sample or small respondent. Okay, and the sampling method normally is purposive because you have specific sample that you want to that you identify to be involved in your research. So qualitative does not include so many participant or respondent. Compared to quantitative, it involves so many. It can involve so many respondent. Okay. Okay, in terms of data, compared to quantitative, they use the quantitative data, but here in qualitative, the data is more like you use notes, picture, story, and it's an oral description. And how you collect the data for qualitative, basically based on observation, based on interview, and sometimes it's just document analysis where you just review of the document. So that's a method of qualitative research. Alright, so I hope you can see the difference between quantitative and qualitative. When you say quantitative, it involves number, and when you say qualitative, it involves sentence, observation, interview. Okay. So here the instrument basically is the researcher itself. Compared to quantitative, you can use a questionnaire as your instrument. But here in qualitative, the instrument will be for interview, for example, the instrument will be the researcher itself, because you are the one who will ask question to the respondent. So here are the brief comparison between quantitative and qualitative. So purpose, this one to study relationship, cause and effect, this one to understand social phenomenon. Okay, and this one design, the design you are developed prior to study. Before you do the research, you have developed the design. And qualitative, you cannot plan or develop before the study, but during the study it evolves. Okay, and approach, this one is deductive, this one inductive. Tools, instrument, standardized instrument, for example questionnaire. This one is more qualitative, is more face-to-face interaction, interview, observation. Okay, and most of the time quantitative use large samples compared to qualitative only involve small samples. Sometimes 3 people is enough just to answer your research question. That's qualitative. Okay, so before we go to this activity, let me share with you the video related to quantitative and qualitative, the comparison between these two. Okay, so let's see.
Research occurs in many different forms and can be divided into 2 basic types, quantitative and qualitative. The focus of this lesson is to explain the difference between quantitative research and qualitative research and discuss their respective strengths and weaknesses. The first type of research that social scientists use is quantitative research, which is based on numerical data which can be analyzed using statistics. This type of research focuses on pinpointing what, where, when, how often, and how long social phenomena occur. For example, imagine you wanted to research jaywalking at a certain intersection. If you were to conduct quantitative research, you could count the number of people who jaywalk. Quantitative research includes experiments in which certain variables are manipulated and the outcomes measured. It also includes studies conducted in the natural world. The U.S. Census is a good example. Numerical data can be collected through machines, surveys, inventories, and more. Again, the numbers can be analyzed using statistics. The analysis can tell us the relationship between certain variables. This leads us into a discussion about the advantages of quantitative research. One advantage is the fact that we can use statistics to extrapolate the data collected in order to predict how people will behave in the future. For instance, let's say you not only counted the number of people who jaywalked, but also collected other information such as age and gender. If you recorded 20 people jaywalking and 15 of them were men, you might predict that a man would be much more likely to jaywalk than a woman. There are certainly other advantages to quantitative studies. Many researchers prefer quantitative methods because they provide objective, hard facts. Variables are easy to identify, and results can be generalized to larger populations. However, there are also disadvantages to quantitative methods. For instance, they can't explain why social phenomena occur, they just quantify the fact that they do. They don't take into account the emotions, motives, imagination, beliefs, etc. of the subject. Of course, there's also the fact that not all social phenomena can be counted or measured in quantifiable ways. For instance, how would you describe a funeral ceremony using numbers? In situations like this, social scientists use qualitative research, which is based on data that cannot be measured or counted, but can be collected and interpreted through observation. This type of research focuses on why and how social phenomena occur. Instead of numbers that can be analyzed using statistics, the data is in the form of descriptive words that can be examined for patterns or meaning. For example, imagine you wanted to study the behavior of monkeys that live in the zoo. Using qualitative research, you might watch the monkeys every day and write your observations in a journal. When the study was over, you would go back through the journal to try and find patterns of behavior, such as daily habits. Qualitative research is also called descriptive research because its purpose is to describe social occurrences. It can be conducted in focus groups, interviews, or simple observation of social events as they happen in real life. The data is collected by the researcher himself or herself instead of through the inventories, questionnaires, and other means used for quantitative research. This can be both a good thing and a bad thing. The researcher can gain an empathetic understanding of the behavior of others, but the data collection is bound to be subjective and can even include bias. Due to the personal involvement of the researcher, it's practically impossible to stay impartial. However, qualitative research can provide a wealth of in-depth information and even explain findings from a quantitative study. For example, conducting qualitative research on jaywalking could explain why certain people jaywalk while others do not, instead of simply pointing out the fact that they do. In summary, research in the social sciences occurs in many different forms and can be divided into two basic types, quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative research is based on numerical data which can be analyzed using statistics. This type of research focuses on pinpointing what, where, when, how often, and how long social phenomena occur. In contrast, qualitative research, also called descriptive research, is based on data that cannot be measured or counted, but can be collected and interpreted through observation. This type of research focuses on why and how social phenomena occur. There are advantages and disadvantages for each type of research. Quantitative research can use statistics to extrapolate data and predict how people will behave in the future. Many researchers prefer quantitative methods because they provide objective, hard facts. Variables are easy to identify, and results can be generalized to larger populations. However, they can't explain why social phenomena occur. They just quantify the fact that they do. They don't take into account the emotions, motives, imagination, beliefs, etc. of the subject. Qualitative research does do this and often incites empathetic understanding. It can provide a wealth of in-depth information and even explain findings from a quantitative study. However, it's common for qualitative research to include bias. Due to the personal involvement of the researcher, it's practically impossible to stay impartial.
Okay, so that's
And all of
basically
the
the
other
difference between
research occurs
quantitative
in many,
and qualitative
which is
research.
based on
Okay, so let's look at it again. Okay, let's just put it here. So what is the difference between quantitative and qualitative? Okay, so as I said just now from the slide that I shared with you, obviously here you can see this involve statistical measure. It can be count, it can be measured. That's a quantitative research. How about qualitative? Qualitative is something that cannot be counted, cannot be measured, but it can be collected through observation or through interview. Okay, so the simple word that he used for the quantitative and qualitative research is basically quantitative research involves number, qualitative research is a sentence. Okay, that's a very basic comparison between these two. Okay, so in the next video I will teach you more, share with me more about quantitative research because there are several design of quantitative research which you will learn in the next video. But for today, I would like to give you some tasks related to quantitative and qualitative. Okay, so as you're aware just now, the difference between quantitative and qualitative, other than the type of data, so in terms of instrument, quantitative data normally have instruments such as questionnaire, and qualitative instrument most of the time if it's involved interview, you yourself as a researcher is the instrument. Okay, what else in terms of sample size or respondent? Okay, so in quantitative research or quantitative study, it will involve many respondents. It can involve many respondents. However, in qualitative study or qualitative research, it may include a very minimum number of respondents. Okay, because it involves deep analysis for qualitative research. Okay, so here is the task for you. I want you to write down or give your answer in the comment. Okay, so I'll just share with you the slide. So this is the same slide that I share with you in the platform of my guru. Okay, you can just look at this. Okay, I write down here Scopus, but not necessarily Scopus. So it can be any other platform. Okay, you may just Google it, but make sure the source is from something somewhere trusted. Okay, so this is not compulsory, but you can use any other platform. Okay, to find the article. Right. So what you need to do here is first you search for journal related to the field of education or mathematics education. And I want you to identify 5 or 3, at least 3. Okay. Actually, this task I already create a forum platform in my guru. So it's either you can give me the answer over there in the platform in my guru, and as well as share the link at the comment of this YouTube video. Okay, so identify 5 quantitative research and 5 qualitative research. It's between 3 to 5. Okay, so more is better. Okay, then what you need to do is you identify the journal's name, the article's title, the objective, and the number of sample, and then give reason. Sorry, this is typo 5. And give reason why you classified that journal as a quantitative or qualitative research. Okay, so this practice is basically just to make you practice to get more understanding on what is the difference between quantitative and qualitative research. Make sure you do it and make sure you do this task, okay, so that you get familiar the difference between this quantitative and qualitative research. Okay, so because there are 5 or 3 to 5 quantitative research, of course you cannot just write down in the comment. You may share the link. Okay, there are 2 platforms you can share your answer, is whether in the my guru platform. I already create a platform named task 1, quantitative versus qualitative, and also you can just comment at the video, YouTube video, so that I will read your comment. Okay, so your participation will be based on that. Okay, in each and every video I will check all the comment from my student, so that I know whether you are really participate, because if you don't understand, most of the time because you will not participate, so I can understand if you don't really understand about this matter if you don't really participate in the class. Okay, so please, even though it is a online learning, I really hope you can participate. Okay, at any time you have WhatsApp group, so we have I create so many alternative platform so that no one left behind. Okay, we have my group, we have WhatsApp group, we have this YouTube channel for you to share, and sometimes most of you just WhatsApp personal to me if you have any problem. Okay, so please make sure you do it. And I think so that's all for this chapter 2, the brief difference between quantitative and qualitative. And next video will be about quantitative research, and specifically about quantitative research. Okay, so that's all. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.